Hello people, happy Monday and welcome back to the Gooner Tokes. It's a weekend roundup show. That's what we're going to be doing, talking about the biggest results from the weekend, especially focusing on Arsenal and the other challenges for the Premier League, and looking at also those battles for the top four, because everything kind of heated up a little bit this weekend. There were a couple of unsurprising results, a couple of shocks, and overall it was an interesting weekend in the Premier League. So first of all, start with the Arsenal. Great result. 2-0 away at Burnley. Winning away games, especially these ones that we used to find difficult last season, getting past these lower teams, and it was really a struggle. That's where we dropped a lot of points. We've always had, over the past few years, a really good results against the other big teams. You know, we done well against City, against Liverpool, against everyone. So it's really against these smaller teams that we've been dropping points. And so it was good that we finally seem to have put that kind of behind us so far. No goals conceded, no shots conceded, clean sheets all round. That's what the theme of today is, clean sheets all round, people. And long may it continue. Like I said, if you want to see a more detailed reaction to that, you can check that on my channel. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep talking about the other games, really. So what were the other big ones? There was United played at 3 o'clock as well. That ended up as a 2-2 draw. Couple of controversial incidents with the ball going out. Did it go out? Didn't it? I don't think it went out. But at the end of the day, you still have to defend those situations, you know. 2-2 ends their little win streak, so the United strand is going to have to start from scratch again. 5 wins in a row. That guy really set his sights really high. It's not so easy to just get 5 wins in a row. Unless he's doing all competitions, then all right, maybe, but they're only in the Premier League, so my guy's going to have to wait for a bit longer. But United look like they're, turned a little bit of a corner. 3 wins and a draw in their last few games. That's nothing to sniff at, considering where they were, especially last season. So, yeah, I think they're going to go from strength to strength. Amorim seems like he's finally figuring out his system. But, I mean, it's going to be a while until they're challenging really at the top. But them getting into Europe is something that's really quite possible for them this season. And, as much as I'm not a Man United fan, I would like to see a little bit of that rivalry come back. I used to love Roy Keane and Vieira, and those are the biggest battles in the Premier League before things changed with all the money coming in and all that kind of stuff. Speaking of money coming in, Chelsea versus Tottenham on Saturday night. Wow. Tottenham were bad. I mean, what do we expect? The Spurs, right? But that was shocking. I didn't expect them to come out with a performance like that, especially against Chelsea. This is supposed to be like one of their derbies. They talk about, their rivalry with us, their rivalry with Chelsea. They talk about it as if it's like the same thing. I mean, that's up to them. I'm not a Tottenham fan, but if that's one of your biggest rivals, you need to be coming in with a better performance than that. Especially, you're playing at home, you're getting turned over at home by Chelsea. Didn't create anything. I don't know what they're doing. I thought Thomas Frank would be a good signing for them, and he probably will be. I think he's a great manager. I'm surprised at how badly they played at the weekend, but I think Thomas Frank will come good with Spurs, to be honest. I mean, I hope he doesn't as an Arsenal fan, but he's a great manager. What he did at Brentford was incredible, although Brentford are still managing to be competitive despite losing Frank and a lot of their players. So, I guess he's really going to have to prove himself there at Tottenham. At the end of the day, it's a bigger club than Brentford, and there's bigger expectations and bigger audience, more eyes on you, and more pressure. So that's something he's going to have to learn to deal with, and something the rest of the Spurs team are going to have to deal with, because there was a little bit of grief at the end of the game between Van der Ven and Jed Spence and Thomas Frank, and that's not something you want to be seeing, especially 10 games into the season. I mean, everybody needs to just, I think, focus on their performances, and everything else will come from that. But I mean, that Spurs is problem, not mine. So if they don't figure it out, fine by me. But it was a big win for Chelsea. They really were all over Spurs, and should really have scored more. Should have put the game to bed instead of it ending as a 1-0. It should have been over long before that. But, big 3 points for Chelsea. They're climbing the table a little bit. And so, looks like some of the old established teams in the top 6 are trying to bounce back a little bit. Then on Saturday night was Liverpool goes against Villa. I used to live in Birmingham, and so I've been to Villa a lot. And so I've got a bit of a soft spot for the Villa. So I always like them to do well, so long as it's not against us. But yeah, when you come out like against Liverpool and you're going to go a bit like all guns blazing at them, or try to play them, you better get it right, because Liverpool are going to punish you. And that's exactly the kind of opponent that Liverpool wanted, really. It would have been much harder if they were dealing with a team that was going to, set up a low block and not try to go at Liverpool and maybe just playing long balls over the top. But Villa were trying to play through them, and Liverpool have the players that they'll hurt you if you allow them. Unfortunate that Liverpool got the full 3 points, but they've got a big game next weekend against Manchester City, so all eyes will be on that. Definitely I'll be watching to see what happens, and one of them is going to drop points, if not both of them. So long as we do the business against Sunderland, then we can sit back, relax, and just see what happens and let things just flow, right? Then we had the next game on Sunday, Bournemouth, Manchester City. I really thought that Bournemouth would be able to take some points off Manchester City. Maybe that's wishful thinking, considering City were playing at the Etihad Stadium, but Bournemouth have looked good. I haven't watched much of them, like a full match. I've watched quite a few highlights, but watching the full match yesterday, I got a better understanding of how they play. They're a good team. They attack well. They were a bit naive playing such a high line against Haaland, because you're just asking for that guy to go past you. When he gets one-on-one like he did yesterday, there's only one thing that's going to happen. He's going to bury it. You can't give someone like that the time and space. People talk about our reliance on set pieces or whatnot, but City are heavily reliant on Haaland. So when you give him space and time to do his business, he's going to punish you. So I thought that was a little bit naive there from Bournemouth. But I like Semenyo. He's a good player, and he's someone I would have at Arsenal in a heartbeat. So let's see how that develops in the future. I hear he's a gooner, so I'm sure he wouldn't mind if we go for him, but that's another problem for another day. For now, I'm enjoying watching him. I think he's great. He really caused problems, but ultimately City just had too much quality for Bournemouth. And Bournemouth, like I said, they were a little bit naive in the way they played, like Villa were against Liverpool. So our nearest rivals, both of them picked up their 3 points, which makes things, sets things up nicely for next week. That's going to be blockbuster game between Liverpool and Man City. I'll definitely be watching that one. At the end of the day, draw. That's what I want, a draw. Let them both drop points and let us win and move further ahead. That's it. I'll take that. I don't mind them drawing each other. I don't need one of them to win. I'll be perfectly happy. 1 point each, that's it. And then we can extend our lead at the top of the league. That would be fantastic. We've got Sunderland, obviously. They've had a good start to the season, but if you want to win the league, you've got to be beating teams like Sunderland. But we'll get to that a bit later in the week. We've got a small issue of the Champions League starting back tomorrow with Slavia Prague. It's the early game, 6:45 here in Spain, I guess 5:45 in the UK. I never like those. It's, I have a job and stuff like that, so it can be hard to catch those games, but I'll definitely be doing a preview before it and then a little review after it once I've had a chance to watch extended highlights. But it's a good opportunity for us to, stretch ourselves further at the top of the Champions League. We've got 3 wins out of 3, clean sheets all round there. I told you it's a clean sheet day. And yeah, getting another 3 points will set us up nicely, and maybe we can start resting players as it gets, into the more, busy Christmas period when we're going to have to manage players' minutes and stuff like that. So it's important to win all the games as early as possible, as quickly as possible, so that we can benefit from that. But I'll do a preview for that game tomorrow, so that I can give you my thoughts, and maybe I'll know a little bit more about any injuries, and then we can have a better idea of what the team's going to be, because a couple of players picked up some knocks in the game against Burnley. Gyökeres had to come off at halftime, and he was having a phenomenal game. It's the best I've seen him play for us, so hopefully he can be back for, if not Slavia Prague, then for the Sunderland game. And Zubimendi as well had to come off. So hopefully he'll be fine too. But, you know, we've managed without quite a few players this season. We've got the squad depth. So I feel that we can weather the storm of having one or two players out. We've just got to make sure that we're determined and we work well as a team and everyone kind of knows their role, especially if you're coming in to replace someone, you know, Merino coming in to replace Gyökeres. It's hard to make that direct replacement, but, you know, at least you can go and do a job. So we'll talk about that more tomorrow. As it stands, let's have a little look at the league table. So we've got Arsenal at the top, clear by 6 points, which is a great place to be in. People talking like it's over, or Arsenal have to do this, Arsenal have to do that. It's 6 points and it's the beginning of November. Yeah, we've put ourselves in a nice spot, but there's still a long way to go. And we've got City that we're battling with, Liverpool we're battling with, both of them experienced teams. So, you know, I'm not going to be counting my chickens just yet, but it's a very good place to be in top of the league with City 6 points behind and Liverpool 1 point behind them. So like I said, that's going to be a blockbuster game on Sunday. I think it is the game between Liverpool and Man City. Sunderland still have to play tonight, so they may end up a little bit higher in the table depending on what happens. But Bournemouth stay fourth after dropping points against Manchester City, but they've had a phenomenal start as well. That's not where they are expected to get their points this season. So losing at Etihad, you know, it happens to everybody, happens to the best teams in the world. So no real issue there with Bournemouth dropping points. Tottenham still find themselves in 5th place, but I mean, if they don't turn around their home form soon, that ain't going to last long. You've got Chelsea getting their act together and going to try to put a bit of pressure on them. United, you know, they're actually picking up points. So it's not all, you know, rainbows and lollipops at the moment for Tottenham. They're going to have to fix up and see if Thomas Frank can get them working as well as he did get his Brentford team. But that's what the league table looks like at the moment. Like I said, it's probably going to change a little bit later with Sunderland playing. So we'll see how that goes. And that will set us up nicely for our game against them. You know, they're playing today, we're playing tomorrow. So I guess it's similar kind of thing. And yeah, we'll see who's ready to play for the weekend. But hey, that's my weekend roundup. That's what's been going on. A little bit of my view of everything. Hey, don't forget to like, subscribe. I'll be doing another video tomorrow, like I said, preview for the game. Hey, thank you for watching, people. Always a pleasure, never a chore. See you soon. Take care. Peace. Bye.